Kantha, thank you so much. That was fabulous. And I have to say, you are a very good storyteller, uh, even with needing to take the little break. And I'm glad we have Len Monheit back on stage with us as well for our question and answer, because we have a bunch of questions from the audience and we'll get to as many as we can. I'm actually going to start with one for Len. To just give your voice a little break, Kantha. You're welcome. But Len, we had a question come in asking about any insights, whether or how COVID has influenced the key health benefits consumers are looking for. This person references immunity, but also what about depression and anxiety? May that be also related to COVID? Because we did see in the insights that you shared, right, that depression and anxiety were definitely on the rise. So curious to see if you want to weigh in on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that we've got longitudinal results in this across the 3 countries. So you can see 4 years of history, and certainly the immunity. And I've used this in other environments. Immunity used to be seasonal, and it's not anymore. It's an annual concern, and now overall wellness also used to be more of a concern in the winter months, not in the countries that have varied seasons. So both of those things have now become sort of annual, ongoing, core-centric issues for supplement consumers. So you're seeing that uptick definitely. But the stress, depression, mental focus, cognition, we're all weary over the course of the last 2 years. So our insights have certainly shown that everything associated with mental health and that aspect of well-being has certainly risen in consumers' minds, and also in the addressable concerns that they look to supplements for, and increasingly look to functional food and beverages, although we only have 1 year of data on that. So definitely the immune, but it's much broader than that into the mental state.
Gotcha. And, we, Kantha and Len, this is kind of for both of you, but, and Kantha, actually, I'm going to ask you first. We have a number of ingredient companies on the line, and ingredient companies use both data like what Len presented, and also work with scientists and have the data like you presented. And so I guess I'm curious to ask, they're responsible for communicating both the science and the trend data. But how do we do that properly, right? Like, and then when media get it wrong, what do we do to combat the misinterpretation?
Thank you, Tracy. That's a great question. And as one who works primarily in the ingredient sector, I find this quite challenging, but also look at it as a great opportunity for all of us. First of all, there are no good ingredients or bad ingredients. Like there are no good foods or bad foods. It's how much of it, and against the backdrop of what else you do, that really matters. So that's good news for all of us. We could join our forces and arrange it in such a way to convey to consumers about how to shift their lifestyle choices, their ingredient and food choices, so that collectively they get more good out of it. So if each ingredient company, instead of just pulling theirs out and putting the spotlight on them and trying to say theirs is the best, would also lift the others. What is that about? A rising tide raises all boats. It's sort of that. This is a perfect opportunity for that. So every ingredient has a role. And Len just talked about the gut-brain connection. We are here because of those little critters inside us doing what they're doing. And it's up to us to figure out how to serve them best. And the more variety, the more things we give to them, and the more we do it sensibly, the better off we are going to be in the long run. I hope I answered that question.
You did, thank you. I want to get to one question that ties into some of the information that was presented yesterday.
Tracy, can I actually comment on just that last question? Just
Go
2
ahead.
seconds. Okay, first of all, what Kantha, I think, is sort of going towards is category stewardship. It's broad industry stewardship, but it's category stewardship. At the same time, you got to promote your own thing, but it's really category stewardship. The other aspect I want to introduce there is that it's supply chain relationships. Ingredient companies hold your brands responsible. Make sure they're not distorting the message, hold them accountable, and you actually have an environment right now where supply chain relationships have never been more important. Hold them accountable. Thanks.
Excellent point, Len. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I did, because we're coming up on time, but I have one question that I really want to ask because it ties into some of the information that came up yesterday and it's something we're all combating. is we heard a lot about confounders yesterday in studies, research, like lifestyle and diet. What is the researcher responsibility and what's the reporting responsibility as it relates specifically to confounders?
You want to take it, Len?
This is for you, Kantha. This is definitely
Okay.
for you.
Well, in science, there are a couple of different things. First of all, human microbiome science is very new. The second part of it, the science of nutrition and physiology, are also very new. Even though Michelangelo and others, famous thinkers, Leonardo da Vinci, were all sort of delving into human physiology, it's only in the last few decades that we've really come to understand what it's all about. Having said that, science gives us a very nice opportunity to grow with our understanding. I'm sure you've all been through this. You know how in first grade you're taught atom, that indivisible part of matter. And then the next year, same science class, now they teach you that the atom is made up of, and you go, last year you said it was indivisible, and now you're dividing it? Well, science continuously grows. So our understanding of what the human microbiome can do is going to grow. So whether it's confounders, whether it is other things that can complicate our study, if we made it a point of always sharing our information with conditions, pretend you are a parent. You know how when your child comes up and asks, can I do this? You go, depends. Depends on whether you've cleaned up your room, depends on whether you brushed your teeth, sort of like that. So similarly over here, when you present it, but you provide the conditions, it does two things. It gives you room to grow your business. It also provides the consumer some understanding of what else needs to happen so they're not disappointed with you, so that they stay with you because they understand you're being pragmatic, and that is very important. Len?
No, I think that's it. I think that the research community needs to be urged to investigate its confounders. And I think that the reporters need to also be trained that there will be confounding issues in most of the studies that cannot all be examined. And then you've got the qualifiers and the depends. So yeah, support that fully.
Thank you.
Well, Len and Kantha, we are unfortunately out of time, but thank you both so much for